Hey everyone, before we learn more about Harvard University, we wanted to let you know that you can calculate your chances of admission at Harvard and other schools with your free CollegeVine account. Start by completing your chancing profile with information such as your GPA, classes, and extracurricular activities. From there, you can use CollegeVine's Hub tool to see your chances and information about the school, such as cost, majors, and more. Visit the link in the description below to sign up and see your chances today.
All right, Harvard has officially over 450 clubs, and there are more. I mean, there are a lot of unofficial clubs. There are clubs that are in the process of getting recognition. Some clubs are like not really running, so 450, I don't know. It's probably a good estimate of the number. And that's just the college. There's also tons of clubs and organizations in all the graduate schools and all that. We're going to discuss clubs in all of these categories: arts, sports, cultural and religious clubs, public service, pre-professional clubs, and some miscellaneous guys in there as well. It's going to be fun. Let's get into it. So, opportunities in the arts. This is tough for me, I have to say, because I think I could give like a 90-minute presentation on, music at Harvard alone. But Harvard does have a lot of music opportunities. There are 7 orchestras, 4 opera companies, including a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta company that does a production every semester, 4 choruses, between 10 and 20 a cappella groups, depending on the year, brass and wind ensembles. That includes the pep band, jazz bands. I mean, you name it, Harvard's got it. So many dance troupes. Expressions is a particularly well-known hip-hop dance troupe. Harvard Ballroom, that's the ballroom team. You can do it casually, show up to take some ballroom lessons, basically, or you can be competing on the national level. Harvard Ballet, HRMDC. That's the Harvard Radcliffe. Oh my God, what is HRMDC? It's the something dance collective. Brain freeze. I'll figure it out later. And Crimson Dance is another dance team. And also, I mean, everything. Asian American Dance Troupe, Harvard College Iris Dancers, STEP, Bhangra. I mean, you name it. Every kind of dance organization you can think of. The theater organizations, there are many. HRDC produces 4 shows on the Loeb Main Stage and up to 20 shows in other spaces throughout the year. If you get a show on the Loeb Main Stage, you've made it. You're a big deal. The other 20 shows are great as well. And when I say if you get a show, I mean like if you're producing a show or you've written a show or something and HRDC says that you're allowed to put it on in the main stage, that's a huge deal. Hasty Pudding is the annual drag show that you may have known about, which has recently become co-ed. They also do the Men and Women Awards each year, which are a big deal, draw a bunch of huge big name celebrities. Specifically 1 male and 1 female celebrity each year to Harvard, but over the years it amalgamates to a large number. So I have friends who've taken pictures with everybody. The Shakespeare Company, so many other theater orgs. The publications, there are many: the Crimson, the Lampoon, Satire 5, and the Advocate. The Crimson is our newspaper. The Lampoon is the biannual or semesterly legendary literary magazine. You may have heard it parodied or mentioned at least in BoJack Horseman or many other places in popular media. Satire 5 is an online publication. It's satire, of course. The Advocate is a literary and arts magazine. These are all big, important organizations at Harvard. It's a big deal if you're in any of them. If you're interested in visual arts, the Graduate School of Design, the Carpenter Center for the Arts, and the Office of Fine Arts, Office for the Arts, they all offer all kinds of exhibitions, classes, and workshops. And finally, festivals like John Lithgow's Arts First, which I performed on many times. That's a 4-day arts festival across all of Harvard's campus, showcasing arts organizations from all over the place. And Cultural Rhythms, it's a food festival and performance festival as well, showcasing various cultural institutions and foods, cuisines. It's a 1-day thing, really fun. There's some other festivals as well. There's a film festival. The pictures I've got here are Sanders Theater. You may recognize it from CS50 lectures if you've seen any of them. It's where the Harvard Radcliffe Orchestra performs, some other performances as well, of course, choruses, orchestra. And my question for you, is the GSD, or the Graduate School for Design, the ugliest building on Harvard's campus? I would say that it's not. I'll tell you later. You got to stick around. I'll tell you what I think is the ugliest building. Sports at Harvard, you got 42 varsity sports. We are D1. It doesn't mean that, we're in there with OSU and football or anything. We usually play the Ivy League Conference. But, Harvard basketball and football is still a big deal. You may see us in the NCAA March Madness if it ever happens again. The Harvard-Yale football game is our biggest game of the year. You definitely don't want to miss that if you're a student at either of the universities. IM sports, also a big deal. I had friends who, were so dedicated to IM swimming, IM rowing, IM crew, sorry, and still, go to meet like group meetings with their old IM sports buddies. Every kind of sport offers an IM version. I mean, even if it's some of these out there ones like broomball and Quidditch, can definitely play those. Freshmen have their own IM conference, and they compete in the Yard Cup. Upperclassmen, we all competed in the Strauss Cup. There are so many cultural, religious, and spiritual organizations. I can't even begin to give you all of them. The Memorial Church in the picture above, that's the multi-denominational Protestant church in the middle of Harvard Yard. It's beautiful. It's involved in an interfaith network along with Hillel, which is the Jewish organization, the Islamic Society, the Buddhist community, and more. So really interesting talks, services, lectures from a variety of different kinds of faiths. Also, other non-related events. I did concerts and rehearsals in Memorial Church at various points. I love it in there. Public service, if you're interested in volunteer work, many opportunities for that. Public service organizations, including political action clubs, volunteer-based orgs, advocacy-based fundraising, and the rest. PBHA is one of the big centers for volunteer work. They run more than 60 programs. Some examples would be, after-school programs, tutoring, mentoring, summer classes for low-income children, everything from ESL to music, services supporting elderly people, much more. The picture is PBHA's house on campus. It's a lovely space, and they run a bunch of really great programs. Definitely would recommend being involved. Pre-professional and academic groups. Some of you may be really interested in these. Some of the most well-known I've put up on the screen. HVAC is famous at Harvard. It operates like a real-life hedge fund with, some tens of thousands of dollars, often around $50K that they invest for donors. Not donors, investors. They invest for investors, of course. If you work for HVAC, it's like working for a hedge fund. Seriously. HCCG, same kind of deal. It's our consulting group. It operates like a real consulting firm. I mean, they've had some serious clients, as you can see. The only difference between them and a real consulting firm is that, obviously all their workers are undergrads, and also they can't get paid. But what they do with all the money is they buy really awesome swag. So if you want like a really fancy Patagonia HCCG, pull over, you know where to get it. Some miscellaneous clubs. They got the Harvard Outing Club. I was actually never really officially a member of the Outing Club, but I did go hiking a lot, and I loved it. It's a picture, not that I took, but it's from a hike that I've been on, looking at Mount Adams from Mount Madison and the Whites in New Hampshire. It's just up in the Whites 2 days ago. What an awesome time. Definitely recommend hiking up there. If you don't have a car, which most people at Harvard do not, and I did not, the easiest way to get up there is with the Outing Club. Yeah. Identity's fashion show. It's a good time. It's a fashion show. Queer Students and Allies, Model UN, tons of different Model UN programs, mock trial, Model Congress, and finally the IOP. I've got a picture of Jay Johnson down there presenting at the John F. Kennedy Forum, part of the IOP, which connects students with very important activists and politicians, academics, leaders. It's a really cool place. A lot of famous people come through. I'm talking, past presidents, VPs, governors, and the like. It's really cool to be involved in IOP if you have any interest in politics, public service. Cool. Are the extracurriculars selective, and how do I apply? Do I have to apply? So Harvard calls the application process to extracurriculars comps. Not all clubs involve a comp period. Some do. Comping is sort of the club version of pledging, a fraternity or a sorority or something like that. Some have intense comps, others not so much. The Crimson, HVAC, WHRB, those are completion-based comps, which means the way they weed out people is by making it a really long process. You have to do a ton of work, and if you make it through, you get in. I mean, if you do the Crimson comp and you get through the whole process, then you got it. You're a writer for the Crimson. You can do it. But it's a long process, and people get busy mid-semester and they drop out. Some are more competition-based. The Crimson Key, they're the group that organizes freshman orientation. The Lampoon, obviously, they're a big deal. HCCG, like I mentioned, the consulting group. You got to beat out the other people to comp successfully. What is the Lampoon? I've got the quote from the satirical quote from Alice Jew below. It's sort of a semi-secret society based in a mock Flemish castle in Sorrentino Square. It's a famous old institution. It is Their comp process is highly secretive, and no one can guarantee that it's not just hazing by the end. You definitely get locked up in the castle for some period of times. You can't leave, can't sleep. I don't really know any the other details because it's really under locks, and you probably won't be able to find them out either unless you make it that far in the comp process. And if you make it, then you get to have parties with them. It's a good time, and you get to write for their humor magazine, which is sort of an afterthought after the parties. Heart Lampoon, it's quite bacchanalian, I would say. Some arts-based groups like Rattle Street Chamber Players and the dance collectives, obviously the theater programs, they involve auditions. Rattle Street Chamber Players is the most selective strings organization at Harvard. Harvard Record Orchestra is the most well-known orchestra. These, of course, require auditions.